Hi Sumit, thank you so much for your time and for being a part of GTM Talk. We are an upcoming podcast we've just started, so thank you so much for taking part in GTM Talk.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you for inviting.
Right. I've been following Dutan's story for quite a while, and I'm quite excited that Sumit is here. But for those who don't know Sumit, let me quickly give you guys a background. Sumit has had a passion for digital marketing, I would say a lot in the SEO domain. I've been a part of his Facebook group for quite a while. So he had a couple of jobs as a digital marketer before he founded this marketing agency called Rice Metric, right?
Correct.
Ran that and then he started his content marketing tool called rants.io.
Yeah, that is correct.
Right. And during the pandemic, there was one incident that occurred which led him to start Dukaan, where he
Yeah.
wanted to buy underwear, and a gentleman sent him a PDF file, and he said, "Why is everyone working this way?" And we can create a tool, and that's how Dutaan. That's where Dutaan started, right?
Yep.
And Dutaan aims to digitize your kirana walas and larger companies like e-commerce companies and empower them to take business online. I understand that's the aim of Dutaan,
Yes, that
right?
is correct.
And within 3 months of launch, Dutaan generated, I think, 12 lakhs in orders, if I'm not mistaken. And just 4 months from starting, Dutaan raised about $6 million in their seed round. And then a year later, they raised, I think, about $11 million. And as of 2021, I think end of 2021, they had about 3.5 million stores set up via Dutaan. So Sumit, what's the number today?
So actually, like the whole game has changed to instead of how many stores are being set up to how many customers are actually paying you. And this change has begun, I think, 14 months back when I sensed that there is going to be winter. As a company, we need to figure out pretty early how you are going to make money, because while everybody just keep mentioning about we got X million downloads and Y million those kind of things. I think like very few people understand that download is just a bookmark. Now what's the point of bookmark if somebody is not opening the bookmark, right?
Just a
Even
metric
if
for
you,
investors.
yeah, so again, like it depends, right? Like if you are planning to go in a VC route of building a company that you want to raise like a lot of money and so on, so you have to keep building for like different stories or like different situations altogether. Now back then the whole rounds were happening based upon the top funnel. Nobody was really concerned about how you are going to monetize the users, how much money you'll be making, what kind of potential this has. All they cared about is kiske paas kitne million downloads hai. I think like we did that or played that game like pretty well. That's the output that you have seen, like the first round 6 million we raised from like Lightspeed and Matrix.
Right. So, like I told you, let's go back in time and let's start right from where you started, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, I understand that there was one incident that led you to start Dutaan, but how did you? I mean, there was one incident. Was that all, or did you speak to various people during the pandemic and find out how they're doing business? And is that how you went about it? I just want to understand the genesis of Dukaan as to how it originated.
Got I think like the genesis of Dukaan, I would say, started 10 years back. The moment I, got curious about how exactly Google works, how it decides to, rank specific websites for particular keywords and so on. So each of the component of Dukaan, I start learning from that moment itself, like how do people build businesses on internet, how do people build products, which I learned when I joined companies like Tiny Owl. Then with housing kind of companies, I have learned like how do these people grow super fast on the internet and what it takes to grow at that rate. So putting all the pieces together, that's a 10 years ka work and like one night overnight success, because you are smart enough to figure out like whatever you are building is going to get output.
Right.
Since you already have used like tools like Webflow, WordPress, Shopify, or like whatnot number of times, but then you realize like, okay, like now this is like relevant for me, and now like whatever traction that I'm getting, we can like amplify that like even much further. So I think there was no any such thing such as speak with like X number of customers and then understand their problem. Assume like it was like my own problem and I had like the whole time in the world, plus if there are like four people or like four techies sitting in the room in the Bangalore, the most obvious thing happens is like open up a company, right? And I think that's pretty much what happened with me as well.
Right, got it. So you didn't. I mean, I understand that you had domain expertise, and that
Mhm.
led you to start the company, right?
Correct.
But did
Absolutely.
you did you have the urge to say, I know my domain, right, but I'm not operating the store or operating a Kirana store. Let me speak to 30 Kirana stores out there before I launch this product. Did you
No,
go about in that
not
route?
exactly. Not exactly. But I knew a fact that all the Kirana walas are struggling now because
Yeah.
it's a lockdown. No buyers are going out. So it was clear कि like there is a huge audience which has a huge trouble. And when I'm trying to solve that problem, I'm not capable of solving that problem by myself. And the
Okay.
problem was whether I'm able to set up my e-commerce store using my mobile phone or no. The answer was no. I got frustrated and then I said कि like ठीक है चलो ये कर लेते हैं. So it literally started as a hackathon, right? Like even the name Dukaan was supposed to be a placeholder. Neither we had
Okay.
any intent of raising a VC money. Like I had no intentions at all, because that time I have already raised like $250,000 for building ranks. So ranks, like it has been a angel funded startup since like एक year back see. So if I just go back to the angels of round like ranks, which is the growth pond technology private limited, and tell them कि यार मैं दुकान build कर रहा हूँ करके, they won't allow me. I specifically remember this incident when Dukaan launched. Within I think like 48 hours or like something like that, we were trending on the top position in Google business category, and I am seeing like there are like almost 30,000 downloads happening each day. I picked up my phone, called this angel, saying, "Sir, मेरे को लग रहा है इसमें ज़्यादा potential है, right? Because you are like seeing all the numbers." You know like what he told me? कि like तेरे को पैसा दिया किस चीज़ के लिए था मैंने? SEO tool बनाने के लिए लगा. Have you become the first tool in that industry? I said no. Then he said like go back and start building that ranks. So literally like none of my angel investors had a clue that like what I am up to, at least for a week.
Right.
Within a week, the same angels were telling me कि like यार बहुत अच्छा मचा है तुम लोगों ने तो करके. Now that is not attributed to like my conviction or like my efforts or anything. That was because of the term sheet that I got from tier 1 funds from India, right? So
Right.
yeah.
Right. And also, how did you make Dukaan trend? Like, was it a strategic effort that you guys did something that you guys went all out and ensured that million people like got to know about Dukaan, or how do you go about it?
So there are like a lot of factors like all these Play Stores or even like Google search considers while ranking for all these apps and websites and so on. What we had experience of is like ranking hundreds of apps in the past. So we knew like what it takes to rank the app, but we didn't know like what kind of impact it will bring. Because I was not certain about how many people would be searching for the keywords like setup store online or maybe like something like that on Play Store versus what typical number of downloads might be happening in the business category. But the moment you see like rank to ho gaya, and the number that you are expecting is like more like 1,000 times bigger than like what you are getting right now, it clearly shows कि like it was a need of an hour.
Right.
So the validation for me was कि like ठीक है इसका potential है, and there are like enough people who are now trying to explore the ways of going online. The immediate like few incidents which gives you proof of this is कि like the moment we started trending, like of course like thousands of downloads have started happening, and I put my own phone number on the customer support, and we have been like rotating the calls throughout the day. Now when you hear the things such as कि like लास्ट 40 साल में हम लोग ने एक भी मीटिंग नहीं किया, बट फर्स्ट टाइम हम लोग मीटिंग कर रहे हैं फ्रॉम वन ऑफ द सेलर फ्रॉम सूरत, दैट शोज कि लाइक हाउ क्रूशल दैट गोइंग ऑनलाइन थिंग वॉज फॉर देम वर्सेस द सेम गाय वॉज इन द मेंटालिटी कि लाइक मेरे को करना ही नहीं, ऑनलाइन जाना ही नहीं है, मैं ऑलरेडी इनफ पैसा कमा रहा हूँ. बट द सेम गाय इज नाउ आस्किंग यू कि लाइक सर टेल मी व्हाट डू आई डू in order to get back in the business. So that's how like it started, I guess. The problem was like so
Because
many.
we'll just get a little deeper into customer support, but
Sure.
before that,
Mhm.
since you have all the experience in the world with respect to SEO and ranking, what would your advice be if somebody is going to launch their platform on Google, or let's say they're launching on ProductHunt or any of these platforms? What should they focus on? How do you think they can rank?
I think that the core focus should be again building the great product. If you speak about like SEO strategy specifically, then I think you have to start putting the efforts in SEO from day one itself. Although for a few months you are not going to get any output at all, because the whole SEO game is all about patience and urgency at the same time, which is like one of the quote like my brother did. So I think like lot of brands they don't realize this. What they start doing is like start spending money on Facebook and Google because that gives you like instant stats कि like मेरे 1 million downloads हो गए, 5 million हो गए, 10 million हो गए, and you know so on. The problems like the way it starts, or like the stage at it starts is like the moment you start scaling your budgets, your CACs are going to go higher, higher and higher, because the same user is seeing your ads again and again and he's still not clicking on your ads, which means like Facebook feels that like whatever this guy is showing is not relevant for my customers, so I should charge him more. Whether the guy is able to pay it, yes, I would say like I'm doing like auto bid कि पहले 1000 डाउनलोड मेरे को ₹2 पर डाउनलोड में आ रहे हैं, नेक्स्ट मेरे को ₹5 पर डाउनलोड में आ रहे हैं, बट आई एम सिटिंग एट अ पॉइंट लाइक नाउ आई एम पेइंग लाइक ₹60 पर डाउनलोड एंड इट जस्ट कीप्स ग्रोइंग, राइट? सो that's where you need to strategize in a way ki like okay, you will start with the paid ads, maybe like just to gather the feedback about like whatever you have built, whether that is a PM like product market fit or no. If no, then like pause the campaigns, fix the problems, start the ads again. The moment you get like full confidence that okay, like now this is the point I feel that I'm confident about going in front of people, then only you start scaling the budgets. Again, like you'll have to look for whether you are getting positive ROI campaigns or no and so on. But on SEO, I think like you have to invest from day one itself, because later it becomes like super difficult, especially for the VC funded companies. Because assume like you have raised 6 million, you have spent like 3 million on ads, $2 million on like product and all that. Now you are left with like just $1 million in the account. Your next round is not happening. You can't scale your paid budget because like you will go bankrupt. Now that is the exact wrong time to start the SEO. क्योंकि फिर तब स्टार्ट करते हो, देन यू एक्सपेक्ट कि यार 1 मिलियन में मेरे को 5 मिलियन इंप्रेशंस चाहिए, नहीं होगा ना वो.
But again, if you were to give advice to somebody uploading their
start from day zero,
start from day zero, that's one. Okay.
Yeah.
Any other?
Like, and as I said, right, build a great product. You don't even need like SEO and all that. People will start searching about you. Like the brand searches itself will go up like crazy. Otherwise, like you need to have like proper content strategy, right? Like what kind of keywords you want to rank for, what kind of traction they can bring to your platform. Now there are certain keywords which can drive transactions. For example, in my case, if somebody is looking for Shopify alternatives, this keyword, I know that this guy will end up buying the subscription if I fulfill his requirements. Versus there are set of keywords which are just informational. For example, what is RTO? Could be like informative post which could have like high search volume, which builds my top funnel, and I can start blending my product or like my pitch in the blog post and convince the user to open a store using Dukaan.
Got it. Right. So Sumit, you mentioned that customer support was completely done by you.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So four of us, yeah.
4 people. Got it. So when did you hire? I mean, I understand that yours is a huge customer service industry, right? With a lot of people speaking to you and calling you and reaching out on chart.
Mm-hmm.
When did you hire your first customer support executive?
The executive, I think like when we were a team of 40 people or something.
Okay, so when should a company hire its first customer executive?
It depends, right? Like what kind of business you are into. If you are getting like significant number of inbound queries and so on, then of course you need someone to respond to all these people on time and understand their problems and so on. For me, like still now, if you go to like my Facebook community called Dukaan VIP,
I've seen your reply.
Post on the replies. Like मैं अपने कस्टमर टीम को वही बोलता हूँ कि यार तुम लोग से पहले अगर मेरा रिस्पॉन्स वहाँ पे आ रहा है, दैट मीन्स लाइक यू आर नॉट डूइंग योर जॉब प्रॉपर्ली. एंड द प्रॉब्लम आई सी हियर इज जिसको टेक आता है उसको कस्टमर सपोर्ट कभी नहीं करना. The customer support guys, they will always like keep giving like generic answers like sir we'll get back to you and all that. Now that's not what gives a customer wow experience. He gets happy when CEO replies, and I think like it's not that difficult. Like I'm still running a customer like majority of the contribution will come from like mine, and I think that's a best way, especially when you're building a SaaS. You at least get to speak with like a lot of product people who are actually using your product and how it is impacting their lives and so on. So yeah, I think I love it.
Got it. Okay, and when did you launch Dukaan, Sumit? Like when you had an MVP, did you launch Dukaan, or did you say no? Let's wait, let's build a full product, and then let's launch
नहीं
Dukaan.
नहीं
When
यार
did?
मतलब I'll tell you like interesting story like we launched this seller side wala app, right? And next day like I started getting downloads and so on, and then we realized कि यार इसका जो store बनेगा उसका तो front end बना ही नहीं अपना. By that
Hmm.
time I had like 20,000 downloads already, and people started rating 1 star कि store बन गया दिखा है लेकिन store है कहाँ पे? So then we realized, oh shit, we just built a seller side, we haven't built a buyer side at all. So yeah, I think like MVP and all that, I am not sure. Like these are like all generic terms. Even like PMF. Like how do you define PMF?
Right.
It's just a state of mind. I feel.
Do you think PMF is a myth? I've been hearing all kinds of stories. Like some people say PMF is real, some say it's a myth, some say it doesn't exist. What do you
Yeah,
think?
see, like the thing is कि like I don't want to become that ज्ञान देने वाला इन्फ्लुएंसर. उसके लिए होगा मतलब वो 400-600 लाइक लाने के लिए पीएमएफ काइंड ऑफ वर्ड्स यू हैव टू इन्वेंट. बट फॉर मी इट्स कि लाइक जो भी बिल्ड किया है तुमने उसके लिए कोई पैसा पे कर रहा है कि नहीं. दैट्स
Got
इट.
it.
इट्स एज दैट सिंपल.
Got it. Okay. So this is just advice, right? So speaking and talking to different entrepreneurs, some are of the opinion, launch your launch your MVP, grind it out. Do not wait for the perfect product, right?
Yeah.
But another side of entrepreneurs I've spoken to and I'm speaking to are saying wait, work for the perfect product, work for a year, 2 years maybe. When your product is ready, start selling, right?
There is
It's just two different schools of thought.
there
What do you what?
there is no such thing called perfect product. See,
Okay.
well-established companies like Google are now, getting scared of the companies who are like didn't exist like 6 months, like 1 year down the line. And I think like the simple mera funda hai ki like nobody knows anything. End of story. Do it yourself. If you feel like this is you are doing right, do it again. Do it at scale. It's applicable for everything that we do, right? From building product to understanding like which is the partner which I should prioritize to come on, like get on my platform.
Got it. Okay. ICP, right? So initially when you started, did you think that you need to sell those Kirana stores, and then later changed your view that okay, e-commerce companies can use us as an alternative for Shopify, or how did you define your ICP and how did you go about iterating it?
I didn't define anything. Like whatever I kept building, I just kept pushing.
Okay.
Now, the very first 6 months, consider that you are building this e-commerce enablement platform. If you go in the market and say like I'm building for e-commerce experts and Shopify people, then people will say or VCs will tell you that show me 10 examples of brands using your platform. Now you are in a position where you don't have tech, you don't have any customers, nobody's paying you, so nobody's going to buy your story. So you have to sell what can be sold, right? Now, although I know the fact that majority of the money has to be made from like big D2C brands and enterprises, I cannot go and tell that story. What I will sell is कि like यार किराना वालों को help करते हैं. Although I know the fact that that's not the TG which is going to be super huge, or like at least the one which will make Dukaan to earn $1 billion revenue. तो वो जर्नी है उसका कि फर्स्ट यू नीड टू हैव द बेसिक प्लेटफॉर्म, देन यू कीप एडिंग लाइक द पेमेंट सॉल्यूशंस, द लॉजिस्टिक्स, फिर ईआरपी इंटीग्रेशंस आ जाएंगे, मार्केटिंग टूल्स एंड ऑल दैट. सो इट्स अ होल पाथ दैट यू हैव टू decide. And like again, like in my case, like I'm not like doing anything new, right? There are like set of companies, like for example somebody is planning to send humanity to Mars. उसके केस में कुछ अलग चलेगा, मेरे केस में अलग चलेगा. My business has been like proven in the West. It's already like $4.6 billion revenue उन लोग का. The only thing which I am doing differently is like build better product than them. That's it. So I think like we don't have to worry too much about whether we are going in the right direction or no, because this has been proven. We just want to do it in a better way.
Got it. Okay, so when you in your initial days, I'm sure a lot of entrepreneurs would come to you asking for feature requests.
Yeah.
Would you go ahead and do these feature requests, or would you stick to your guns and say no because it might not feature in your product roadmap?
Yeah, this is like very interesting and good question. So whenever a user used to call me and ask me or like even mail me about specific feature, 90% of my time I used to try to convince this guy why you don't require that feature. ठीक है? If somebody is asking like something stupid, like for example you start asking me like Christmas है, मेरे को अपने साइट पे स्नो दिखाना है. right? Now that is something which is not going to either scale your revenue nor going to build you a brand authority like cred. So you will of course deprioritize all those things. If because of that, if somebody is leaving the platform, then of course let him leave. There are certain times like you have to say no, or most of the times you have to say no. See, adding n features in the product will make or will create like n factorial probabilities to fail. Plus the kind of solution or like the platform that I'm building is like even complex, because you are dealing with like different set of users. कोई तो पान गुटखा बेच रहा है, कोई तो D2C brand बेच रहा है, somebody is selling like 10,000 rupees का table. Now all these three people are going to require like different set of features. What feature would you prioritize when you yourself are not sure about like which category is going to be like super biggest for you tomorrow? So in that case, like it becomes even super challenging. But the best fact is like, since we have seen on the internet what it takes for a successful company to be a successful company, we know कि like commerce अगर if I consider, then these are like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 things which are absolutely needed. Now for Dukaan's case, what was that thing? The first one was speed. कि board का example ले लो, like back then like they were taking like more than 16 seconds to load. Now no matter like what kind of features you build, तुम पूरा दुनिया के 8,000 plugins replicate कर दो, you are not going to I don't want to be in a market saying that देखो उसके पास 8,000 plugins है, मेरे पास 9,000 plugins है, तुम मेरा ले लो. Nobody is going to buy that. But that speed was the factor which can actually make like board का revenue 1,000 crore से 2,000 crore, right? So again, like marketer and the product guy and the tech guy all combined, and then you take a decision कि like ये करना चाहिए, right? So it works like differently for like different companies. It depends.
So how did you get into speaking to all these customers and telling them, or did you have somebody in your team do it for you?
No, so earlier it was like just one-to-one conversation. Now most of the times you will realize that like 80% of the customers are asking Google Pay ka या फिर Phone Pay का support. Now that is like absolutely important, or like the must-have thing which you will just get built over the period of time. Then there would come feature requests like multi-warehouse feature चाहिए मेरे को कि like I'm a big brand, I have say 10 warehouses across the India, and as soon as order gets generated from X pin code, you have to redirect to Y warehouse and so on. Now that is something which I have to consider building, assuming your business goals. कि whether you want to go after big people, how many of them would be there, how many of them would be requiring this exact feature. Oh, this is not possible with Shopify, then we should absolutely do it, right? So those kind of then business teams will get involved.
Right, but my question is little more towards reprioritizing your product roadmap.
वो हर घंटे को होता है हम लोग का, I would say.
Okay.
Yeah, it again depends like what new insight you understand and like how quickly. So context switching is such a thing. You ask like you text any random a guy who's working in a tech and design, वो बोलेगा यार ये पहले आके बोलता है A बना दो, अभी 2 घंटे में आके बोलता है नहीं ये स्क्रैप कर दो, B बना दो करके. You have to be like that adaptable, especially for the early stage companies. अगर पहले से पता होता है कि यार ये रोड मैप है, 6वें महीने में ये बनाना है, 8वें महीने में ये बनाना है, तो Google wouldn't be again same example getting serious about chat GPT-3 and so on. So yeah, nobody knows anything. You experience, you fix. That's how it works.
Right. So Suumit, so let's talk about slightly a little more. Let's go a little deep into acquisition, right? So before we go into that, what was your sales and marketing stack? Like what were you? How was it set up in the back end in the initial days of Dukaan?
The sale as in like.
No, did you guys have a CRM?
No, nothing. Zero. We had nothing.
Okay.
No marketing.
Excel.
The only marketing was like get higher rankings on the Play Store and start your blog. These are the keywords which my brother has been working with me for like almost like 6-7 years. So he knows कि like e-commerce है, $6 million account में पड़ा है, इतना भाई ने बोला है budget है अपने पास SEO के लिए. So what kind of keywords I should choose? So I would maybe like choose like 60% of the keywords which can drive direct conversation conversions to the site, versus a lot of keywords which will bring me like a lot of top funnel users, although those are not relevant, but they will learn about Dukaan. For example, one of the keyword could be GST. So we ranked one of the app on the Play Store for the keyword GST. That small experiment itself got like more than 3 million downloads. Now what we did next thing is कि like splash screen पे दुकान का logo लगा दिया कि like launch your store in like 30 seconds. Now that is something which is like organic inventory I am getting like without paying anything at all. The investment that I had to do like barely like 25,000 rupees.
Got it. No, so assuming a lot of people start signing up on Dukaan, like 30,000, 40,000 people. How did you guys manage it? Like, did you have to reach to them one on one, or was it pure PLG where people checked on the app, uploaded their thing, and then they paid? How did it go about?
It is
How was that?
100% DIY. We neither convince somebody to, set up their store, nor we go out of office like India Mart and so on. So this is all inbound and it's all product led. Because you are living in a world where like you can give the whole platform experience within like seconds to somebody. Versus there are companies who will ask you like schedule a call with us and we'll explain. We don't want to go in that way at all because I don't think like that approach is going to help us build the kind of company that I have expected.
Got it. So you've always been PLG, you'll always be PLG.
Absolutely, absolutely. Unless
Got it.
enterprise comes in and says कि like मेरा $2 million का budget है और मेरे को ये चीज चाहिए. Now that is something which actually happened. I'll tell you like what happened. So contact form के through somebody has reached out from Nivea saying we have set up a team of 13 people whose task is to create a store for each of our distributor and we have like these like new requirements. Now that's when we realized like even enterprises have started approaching you, although you were not building for them at all. But that has started happening like way faster than my expectations.
Got it. Got it. Okay. Yeah. I mean, great. There's nothing like an MNC reaching you, right?
Yeah.
Especially when you're aimed for Kirana stores.
Exactly.
Okay. So you guys don't do outbound sales at all, Sumit? Or do you have
Outbound-
salespeople? Do you have salespeople in your team?
I have salespeople, but those are mostly to sell, additional merchant solutions, or maybe whoever has bought the basic packages, help them to, understand like what is the next set of things that they want to do and like upgrades and so on. So yeah, we do have like small salespeople team.
Got it. And how did you guys decide that PLG is the right route for you? Or did you even evaluate saying that should we be sales led, or you are very clear that PLG is the way to go?
Seriously, like doesn't work. Like it's not scalable, right? And then the data is public, right? Like for instance, I was reading this India Mart ka report or something. They have like somewhere around 160,000 or like 200,000 paying customers. Now that is a company like which survived .com bubble. If the guy has been putting efforts for like 30-40 years and still if he's at like 2 lakh customers not able to scale further, then of course like what's the point of going in that direction?
Okay. So diving deep a little into acquisition channels, I understand that SEO has been the main driver for Dukaan. Right, but let's just go a little deeper into each of these acquisition channels and how you think, how did you guys go about it, and what have you learned and how you can do it better, right? So if you take paid ads for instance, did you start running paid ads from day one, or it was not from day one?
We were running from day one itself.
Day one, okay. And with respect to paid ads, did you see did your customer acquisition costs reduce over a period of time from when you started, or has it raised because of the competition in the market that's coming up?
No, actually, like we didn't know like how much we should spend for acquiring the customers because there was no business model. The revenue was not started. Like when the first monetization experiment, I think went live after 12-14 months of starting a company, and even that was just on 1% users. Okay, like show the paywall to 1% users, see if people are upgrading. If yes, then what is the maximum amount that you can charge to these people? Because again, like these people are not going to pay you like what they are paying to Shopify and all that. Their expectations are like much lesser. Plus, my objective was not to make money, but rather to understand what is the next thing that I have to build. And these are like all my public testers who are paying me to report the bugs. The whole goal is to like make a product which is like scalable, stable, which can be replicated across the countries and so on. So that's the stage that we are at. कि ये सारे टेस्टर्स है तुम्हारे जो बेयर मिनिमम चार्ज करो, कोई तो आके बोलेगा ये नहीं चल रहा, ये नहीं चल रहा, ये नहीं चल रहा, वो बिल्ड करो, फिक्स कर दो, and then once you are like sure about ठीक है, like now it is gold standard, then you start making money and all that. So in the recent money you will see like we started scaling the prices like crazy, but there is no impact on the conversions at all.
Right. I'm very glad you touched pricing, right? Monetization and pricing.
Yeah.
I understand this all the more because I work for a usage-based pricing company called Togai.
Yeah.
Right. So no. So how have you used pricing as a growth lever at Dukaan?
Well, like that's not my area of expertise. I got a COO who has been a core team member or founding team member of Hotstar, where he led the whole revenue and monetization. Then he led the same thing for Swiggy as well. So he's the one who keeps playing around with the pricing and so on. And I don't go in like much detail about why he's doing certain things and so on. But yeah, kept trying like multiple models and all that, and learned ki this is what we should be doing and so on.
Okay. And how many times did you guys go about changing the pricing in a span of, let's say, 1 year?
So many times. And I think like it doesn't matter, right? Like a lot of people, they are like even afraid of pushing things on production, or they have like this cycles कि like Monday को ही जाएगा. हमारा ऐसा है कि like रात को 3 बजे मैं तेरे को उठा के push करने बोलूँगा तो you should be able to push it, right? It's just like unless and until you become like Apple and Google, you don't have to worry about these things. Or at least when somebody is not going to lose like millions of dollars. हम लोग का स्टेज तब वो था कि like you don't even have the online payments on the platform. All the orders are cash on delivery. So nobody has ever lost a life because एक cash on delivery का order extra हो गया करके. So we are like free to push anything at any number of times that we want. Plus Subhash, who handles the whole tech, he loves working in that way. So does the team who he works with.
Is Subhash your brother by any chance, Sumit?
No, brother, not brother, but I would say like he's like we together spend more time with each other than what we spend with like our wives, like in the last 10 years, I would say. उसकी बीवी तो वही बोलती है कि like तुमने तो सुमित से ही शादी की है, not with me.
Right.
But yeah, it's kind of like big brother, yeah.
Right. No. So pricing is a very interesting subject, right? So recently Shopify actually changed their prices and it had a real positive impact on their stock market. Did you get a chance to read about that?
Yeah, I did read about that, and I don't think like that. These small things such as price change and all that is happening is what the indication of your share market or like stock price or anything at all. Whatever efforts you are putting right now, maybe like you are preparing for like next 6 months ka journey. Now that whole market doesn't know like what you are up to and all that. So I don't believe the fact that whatever tech companies are doing today is what is the reflection which is happening on the stock exchange at the same time. It's completely different.
Got it. Have you ever, usage-based pricing is the buzz in the market today, right? A lot of people are saying PLG companies are moving to usage-based pricing. Have you ever thought about why not, instead of charging people a flat subscription, why don't we charge them based on the number of products they upload on Dukaan?
No, so I think like it's pretty much usage based only for us as well, because there is a bare minimum price that you are charging as a software subscription fee, right? Now that is something which these people don't care about at all. For example, Kirana guy won't care about 300 rupees at all. All he wants is just to try out his ambition कि like मैं अपना online store बना सकता हूँ कि नहीं. If he doesn't get a success, then he's not going to renew the subscription, and neither I'm going to lose any money. Versus even for the big brands, for example, the latest brand that we moved from Shopify Plus to Dukaan would be paying 6 lakh rupees per month as a software subscription, which is almost 3 to 4 times more than Shopify Plus का plan. And this guy is like मेरे को 6 लाख से भी नहीं फर्क पड़ता, because kind of impact that I have seen on Dukaan, on my brand because of Dukaan is 50 crore rupees. That is the kind of additional GMV that I can make. तो मेरे लिए वो SaaS component is just नाम के लिए कुछ तो चार्ज कर रहा हूँ तो मैं उसके लिए करके, but ultimately my thing is also usage based. Like more the number of transaction you do, more the number of transaction commissions I will make, more the number of orders you schedule through me, I'll make more marketing tools. Same goes with me. So in a way, I think Dukaan is also usage based, or more than usage, I would say output based. कि अगर output आया तभी तू मेरे को पैसे दे, right?
Got it.
I'll be able to deduct the commission only if you get the order, right? Otherwise, like it's not like Amazon. मतलब Amazon usage based, it could be like usage based, right? मैं तुम्हें 2 TB दे रहा हूँ versus I'll keep charging you more based upon how much you consume and all that. मैं अपने केस में वो बोल ही नहीं रहा, मैं बोल रहा हूँ तेरे को पैसा आया तभी तू दुकान को दे. तो my thing is like even one step further than usage based.
Got it. Very good. Right. So let's, again, talking about acquisition channels. I haven't seen Dukaan use press releases as a great acquisition channel.
Press release is not a great acquisition channel. At least like you get a spike and then it's dead, zero. What's the point of investing in something which is ऐसा चल रहा है? You invest in something which continuously keeps growing.
Got it. Did you explore community building, Sumit?
Yeah. The Dukaan VIP is a community, right? On Facebook.
Facebook, right?
Yeah.
So how many of your customers came out of that community?
I don't know. There is no way that I can track. But I'm
Right.
sure like a lot of people either they will praise us for building like this such a beautiful platform, or maybe like they'll just keep adding their friends and family or like other business friends that they know and so on. Versus like couple of them will just keep abusing कि like ये नहीं चल रहा वो नहीं चल रहा. That way, right? You know like
It'll
how.
actually be a cool thing to actually see the effectiveness of the community in means of revenue as to how many people are there. Actually, it'll be a cool experiment to run.
It's not like related at all because see like you acquire one customer which is enterprise
Okay.
who is paying you 6 lakh rupees who is not a part of your community. You are making like 5% of your company's revenue from that single customer. So there is no direct correlation, but community definitely helps you to push your conversions or build that trust out there. Because ultimately like all this, even if you say like B2B, वो इंडिविजुअल बंदा ही है. वो कहीं तो फेसबुक यूज कर रहा है, इंस्टाग्राम यूज कर रहा है, दैट्स हाउ ही गेट्स टू नो अबाउट दुकान. ठीक है. So I think
Right.
ultimately everything is B2C only.
Right. Okay. So Sumit, so it's very clear that the GTM motion of Dukaan has purely been marketing led, right?
Product
With
plus marketing, yeah.
product, yeah, giving it, right. So if you take partnerships, a lot of companies are partnerships driven. Like for instance, Tally, right? Has Dukaan ever looked? So sorry.
Sure. No
Has
worries.
Dukaan ever looked at partnerships as a channel to acquire customers?
Yes, absolutely. We have like in fact partnered with like a lot of companies. Like for instance, Dukaan app is available on Razorpay App Store. Plus, we I think have integrated with Pine Labs as well. Plus, a lot of companies which solves like specific problems, which I feel are like most important ones, are also partnered with Dukaan. One of them is Interact, which provides all this WhatsApp message and so on. So yeah, we definitely like see like partnership as one of the potential way to grow faster, I would say.
These partnerships, you have somebody signing the partnerships in your company with other people who can sell B2B to C, or just you, one man
Just
show.
directly mail the founder, because if you have the team, then that is going to take like at least 3 weeks to get the response from next guy. हम लोग का ऐसा ही कि like आज अभी पता चला ये चाहिए, that feature has to go live by tonight. For instance, what happened in case of Razorpay versus Cash Free is we wanted to go live same day, right? One of them said like नहीं अभी नहीं possible करके, so I went ahead with like second one, right? So it's that critical for us, because see market is not going to wait saying Dukaan is just 2 years old company, let's give them like more time to build things. वो बोलेगा मेरे को ये सब कुछ चाहिए. Now your task is कि like जो Shopify ने 20 साल में बनाया हो तुम्हें 1 साल में बनाना है. How do you build that?
Right. Okay. So you purely focus on SEO, paid ads, obviously product given. Community building, you guys had on Facebook.
Yeah.
Partnerships, you do it yourself.
Yep.
How about leveraging your personal network and your personal brand? Did that help?
That helped a lot. Yes, it did.
Okay.
In the initial days, it helped to get the first 2,000, 3,000 customers from personal reach itself. Then for the enterprises, again, it helped because during the rise metric time, I worked with like almost like 50, 100 companies. So someone knows someone, somebody knows someone. फिर पता चलता है कि यार इसको तो अपन ने help किया था. Then he's like, okay, like let me try the platform. So otherwise, like it would have been like difficult for you to convince the guy to try the platform. But at least now having known that particular guy like personally, it's pretty easy, right?
Got it. So with respect to your personal brand, again, you did not have a VC funded startup before this.
Yeah.
And you were a boy from Mumbai who went on to start this company.
Yeah.
And people, VCs, top tier one VCs backed Tutana. How did that happen? Like, did you convince the VCs that using rice metric or your marketing background? How did that happen?
No, so I think they only discovered Dukaan, and somebody just Sequoia Capital itself got on a call saying explain like whatever you are building. So it's again like same story, and I think it was pretty convincing for them to give the term sheet on the same call itself. So that's how it started. Once you have one term sheet, then there is no end, and then it's opening like endless amount of money. So that's how like the first round happened.
Okay, so let's just get into a few numbers, right? So with respect to Dukaan, you mentioned that 60 rupees is your customer acquisition cost at this point.
I don't know like what's the customer acquisition point right
Okay.
now.
Okay, got it. And with respect to getting people on your website, Okay, how did you get your first 5,000 people on website? Was it purely driven through SEO only,
That
or
that
did you?
purely through my single LinkedIn or like Facebook and like all that post. Because before starting a dukaan, I would say like I was the influencer, SEO influencer who is posting screenshot like मैं दिन का $50,000 कमा रहा हूँ और those kind of things. So it wasn't hard at all, especially when a lot of marketers are following you. So and like not just me, but Subhash had equal distribution. Because for the 10 years it has always been Sumit and Subhash. There is no just Sumit, there is no just Subhash. It's always goes together.
Right. I've always thought you guys were brothers for some reason. Like during the Facebook, I think Facebook. I think you guys used to post on SEO,
Yeah.
and I've always thought you guys were brothers
Yeah,
for
yeah,
some
yeah.
reason. Yeah. Okay. No. Great. Completely understandable. So build your personal brand at some level before you go into a product, and it's going to help you with distribution. Is it? Right. This is the last section of the podcast, Sumit. Right. So if you were to change something. Going back in time, if you were to change something in Dukaan, what would it be? I'm asking this from a GTM angle. Would you at all change anything?
So I would have like different as in like starting a community I should have done like pretty earlier, which I think like we started maybe like 6 months, 8 months down the line starting a dukaan. Then I would spend beyond my capabilities on the tech, because that's what has to happen if you are building a SaaS product. The Facebook and Google I would spend zero if I have to start again.
Got it.
That's what. Yeah.
Got it. And again, give us 3 hacks that could be really beneficial for everyone listening.
The first hack is don't wait for somebody to tell you like okay you are doing it right, you are doing it wrong. Like don't ask for the feedback to anyone. Just go and do it. Either it will fail, either it is not. You should be like smart enough to figure out like whether this is going in the right direction or no. So first तो suggestion वही है कि like stop asking for people's opinion about whenever you're like starting something, because in this country, right, like whenever you're starting something, a lot of people will show like negative side of it, like why that is not going to work. Versus if you consider like US kind of countries where the moment you say that hey I'm quitting my job, starting a new business, then people would like send you the champagne bottle. And I think like we are 10 to 15 years away from that thing. That's the first advice. Second advice again, like startups that look cool from outside, because even if you go in like incognito and search for the keyword dukaan, the very first thing which the very first keyword which comes is like dukaan funding. They don't ask about like dukaan product, dukaan tech, dukaan funding, dukaan founder net worth. I'm not sure like whether people feel कि like whenever somebody raises funds वो उसके घर पे जाता है पैसा के क्या. That's not the case. Like it's mostly like startups are mostly blood and sweat. So if you're starting from that perspective कि अच्छा मेरे को your story publish किया, Inc42 ने किया and those kind of things, then don't build the startup at all. You will fail for 200% sure. दूसरा advice तो वो है. And third one again, you don't need to have like all the skills by yourself. You just need to know a contact of person who does that. Because a lot of time people would say कि यार मेरे को ये नहीं आता मेरे को टेक नहीं आता, मैं कैसे कंपनी स्टार्ट करूँ, टेक कंपनी एंड ऑल दैट, और someone will make you believe that तुम्हें कुछ नहीं आता. For example, recent trend that I am seeing is a lot of people have started selling personal branding के courses. Now I don't know what shit is that, but that is something which you should be smart enough to figure out कि यार personal branding कुछ नहीं होता. Nobody can teach you personal branding. Period.
Right. Do you read Sumit?
No, the last book I read was 5 Point Someone of Chetan Bhagat.
That's the first book I ever read in my life.
That was the last, and like my although I posted like a lot of photos on Instagram pretending that I read, but I don't. But I do consume content like across YouTube and Twitter and so on. So I guess as long as learning it's fine, doesn't matter from there.
Give us 2 productivity hacks. You seem like a person who works 18 hours a day. So give us 2 productivity hacks that you think.
I'll tell you like honestly, like just before this call, I was just like going through your questions, and productivity was the question which I personally got like more curious about. So I just went on Ahref, which is the SEO tool, and started observing the trends. You won't believe this. I feel like productivity is the word which is invented in the lockdown. For each individual, the meaning of productivity is different. For me, productivity is like work restlessly. तो आई थिंक लाइक वो सब लोग का अपना अपना है कि लाइक व्हाट यू वांट टू डिफाइन एज अ प्रोडक्टिविटी. फॉर मी इट्स कंटिन्यूसली पुटिंग एफर्ट्स टू मेक द प्रोडक्ट better and faster and so on. At least
Right,
like
no, but no, a hack can be anything. A hack can be
there is no hack.
shut yourself in a room all alone, lock the door, and just work for 8 hours straight. It can be that.
No, like I don't like honestly like I don't have like any productivity hack or anything as such. But I can tell you like what do I do when I get bored? I'll start playing the drums. Now that is something which somebody taught me in the lockdown. I didn't even know कि like okay I'd be interested in music and all that. दूसरा बता दो लॉकडाउन के पहले like the kind of music that I was listening or the peak of English music that I have achieved is like Linkin Park, Numb and like Coldplay and all that. But
Don't
now
go
I
up to
don't.
that.
Now I don't
Yeah.
listen to anything less than Pink Floyd and Nirvana and all that. So there is always like a new change happening in your life, which can change all the definitions of what you define a comfort or productivity or anything at all. I just make sure that like I have like enough interesting people around me who will just keep giving you like more perspective like day on day. So yeah, it just keeps changing.
Okay, give us 2 entrepreneurs you're following. One in India, one outside India. Or you look up to. It can be following, look up to
I
anything.
don't look up to like anyone specific because each individual is unique in their own way, right? If you ask me about like which all I personally respect are like Kunal Shah hai तुम्हारा फिर Nitin Kamath and all that, whoever have built the great companies, whoever are inspiring others to build the great companies, those are the ones which I appreciate like anything.
Right. Last question, Sumit, right? So, what are your final? Give me your thoughts on GTM as an evolving role in companies today.
Super important. You need to be sure about okay, so here is what I spoke about on like a lot of podcasts and so on. कि कंपनी बनाने का स्ट्रक्चर्ड वे है, ठीक है. इट्स व्हाट इज ब्रोकन इन द वर्ल्ड और व्हाट इज चेंजिंग इन द वर्ल्ड. What is the new pain that has arrived because of this new change? Is there someone who is addressing that pain? Can you address it like better than him? If yes, would people pay for addressing that pain? If yes, then how much they will pay and what is the kind of scale of people who are. तो उस फॉर्मूला में डाल के देखो. If it works, it works. Otherwise,
Right.
remember one thing: nobody knows anything.
Nobody knows anything should be the title of this podcast. Right. All right, Sumit, thank you so much for your time. I had a great time talking to you. Like great insights, and I love no one knows anything. I love the marketing-led motion of Dukaan, and I'm supporting you guys to beat Shopify one day.
Again, like the goal is not to beat Shopify, but help the whole world to produce like more entrepreneurs. But yeah, up until then, it was like great speaking with you. Hope to meet you soon.
And
Chalo.
Sumit,